eternal balance of ease of use versus quality.
That's a me. Hey, everybody. My name's Sean.
I'm Bob. He's Bi.
They're Butch.
And together we are the Butch and the Bi.
And this is the Butch and the Bi, the podcast.
The small roadside theme park.
The abandoned childhood.
I thought you were going to go for like haunted house or something.
No, I was keeping it on theme with today's episode.
Yeah.
Before we get into today's episode, Bob, did you know, fun facts, did you know that you can go to our YouTube page and watch a video version of this podcast? And did you also know that every episode, back to episode 100, is available as a video?
Yes, I did, John.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you were aware. I'd be pissed if you weren't. But if you're not aware, you can go to our YouTube channel, and we have been posting full-length video versions of the podcast, including fun edits, which is mostly just me finding a cute moment where Bob was being a little shit and zooming in on their face. So if you want that quality content, that's available over there with slight tweaks. Sometimes there's a little more content in the video version.
Yeah.
Because cutting things out is hard with video.
And some things only work in visual format.
True. There are, so we always, it's one thing that we used to do, we do it still, which is at the end of an episode when we're about to do the Bi Butch thing, where sometimes we'll just like look at each other. And that doesn't play well in audio. I always cut it out, so it just sounds a little weird. But in video, it's fun because you just see us glaring at each other at the end of an episode.
Yeah, it's fun because the way we set up all of our bits is that John initiates them. He starts the podcast, and he has to say bye before I can say Butch at the end. So
Violence is the answer.
I am just waiting for him to do his job.
I'm only recording for my safety at this point. It's just to make sure that when Bob snaps and kills me, you all have proof. Speaking of proof, some say hat tricks are a thing you can do. Others would disagree. This week, we're talking about Jordan Peterson's Nope.
Peele, not Peterson. Jordan Peterson's Nope is unacceptable, and we'll not talk about it. Jordan
Peterson's Nope is just his reaction to anybody that's not a straight white guy. Shit. I mean, I did it so professionally, too.
Yeah, you were so confident. I was like, this is... Sometimes I'm like, John is doing a weird bit, but that time I was like, oh, that was a full...
Yeah.
That was a Freudian slip.
This is a big Freudian slip.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay. Anyways, we watched Jordan Peele's Nope, which was a movie. And as movies tend to do, they have actors in them. Bob, would you like to know who was in this movie?
I would love to know who is in this movie.
It's weird that you don't know because you watched it.
I mean, I watched it, but I'm also bad with names.
Yeah. Oh, Jordan Peele also wrote this. That's another fun thing. He just like he did with the other two. The other two movies that he did. Those two movies. Hey, fun fact. Look at that. That's called set dressing for the episode. I bought that because we were doing this episode. I mean, it's cool, but like, it starred Daniel Kaluuya. You'd think after 6 or 7 years of seeing him in movies, I'd have the name down.
Yeah, Kaluuya.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Keke Palmer, Brendan Para, Michael Wincott, and Stephen Young, and also. He's not like starring, but like Keith David's in this, and I didn't know that from the marketing, so that's swell. We love that for him. I love Keith David. So this is Jordan Peele's third movie that he has written and directed. And the first one and the second one are two of, I think, the best horror movies in the modern era of horror. And I would say Get Out is one of the best horror movies, hands down. And I think this movie has a lot of really good things going for it. I think the cast is stellar. I think that the visuals, the cinematography of this movie is spectacular. It is a spectacle. which is after all what it is going for. And I think the first act of this movie is one of the most slow, boring things I've ever watched, which is so hard because I really like the second act of this movie. The act 2 and 3 of this movie are phenomenal, and I wish they had just gotten there a little sooner. But Bob, I will let you have the floor, as I have talked enough.
See, I always say that, and he keeps talking.
So anyway,
I definitely thrive in enjoying horror, which is not one of my natural states. It's a state you have introduced me to.
It's a state you've been dragged into, screaming and kicking.
Yeah, I was, for much of my adulthood, very firm on the, like, I'm just not into horror. This is not something I'm going to be interested in. And then this jerk was like, it's one of my main special interests. And I was like, well, I guess it's a thing I'm going to experience. So
before you move on, I will posit you this, though. Has it been an enjoyable thing to get into? Has there been more good out of the genre from what you've experienced than bad?
See, I don't even know how to define it. I'm just sort of experiencing it. The good is that I spend time with my lovely partner and we have shared experiences. And I think I would have been fine not experiencing most of the things I've experienced. I would have had a perfectly full and normal life without horror in my life. It's not an act of enjoyment. I find specific things to keep me going in it. But if you left my life tomorrow for some reason, I would not continue to seek it out.
Wow.
Like, I would probably, like, yeah, if you just disappeared, and I would obviously have a phase of mourning, as you do, but I would probably I'd watch the next season of Chucky because I want to know what the ridiculous man Don Mancini does. And I would have to watch Halloween Ends just to see if they redeem themselves at all. But, like, other than that...
What about Scream 6?
I would probably make a post like, hey, who's excited for this? I want to go with you so I can recapture the end.
Recapture the feeling of helping someone find their phone after the movie was over.
Yes, a classic. I like this movie. And I have this thing. This is the same experience I had after Resurrection where I'm like, I need to go and read what other people are thinking about this, which I don't always have with a movie. There's like, I'm trying to figure out how I feel. I want to know how other people feel and test a couple different waters because it makes you think, which was one of the main points I found in a couple different articles about this, was just like the movies that Jordan Peele makes, you can think about them a lot and you can go over and over what they mean and come up with multiple interpretations for how you want to feel about them. And I find that very interesting. And I feel like there's so much here, and I definitely understand why you don't like the beginning part as much.
Yeah, like that's the thing. It's definitely not a strong dislike. Like it's not a strong negative. It's a strong negative on this movie, but like it's not enough to make me be like, oh man, I would never watch this again, or I would never recommend this. Like it definitely is like, it's too slow a burn, but it's still worth it kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. There are things you would change, but it's not a complete write-off. But in the same way that I love a pining romance, I also appreciate a slow creeping dread, which I feel like is done very well in this. The dread just, it crawls over you like a video time lapse of slime mold.
I wonder if that comes from our different experiences with horror in general.
I feel like the points where we have differed in our opinions on things really has come so much from you having a lot more experience
with like genre and stuff. Yeah,
you have so much more experience with certain genre stuff, horror and psychological terror. Because like I genuinely, I'm like fascinated by Resurrection, and I think it was very good, and I love how it ended because it was so strange, and I love that weirdness of it, and I feel like you having more history with certain things means you have things to compare it to, and I'm just over here like a delighted child, like, wow, weird, wow.
A delighted Owen Wilson. Wow,
Wow.
wow, wow.
Just wow, it's amazing.
Wow.
But yeah, I can understand you've seen a lot of things and you've built up a palette for movies, and I don't have that. And I'm just kind of over here sticking my fingers in everything, being like, okay, cool. It was weird because I watched a movie we won't talk about, which is the Apple TV original Luck. And I actually had like movie critic thoughts about it, and I was like, this is weird. I've gotten used to thinking about things in this context for podcasts, and there's so many movie people. I didn't used to know so many movie people, and now I know so many movie people who have whole podcasts about movies and TV shows, and it's not just my partner who I do one with, it's multiple friends with multiple different programs.
Well, I think, and we're going to talk more about Nope in a second, but I do think it's interesting too that that's kind of one of the first times I've talked about that you've talked about you experiencing more critical thoughts of a movie, because I've seen the trailers of that movie, and every time I see a trailer for it, I'm like, this looks like one of the most soulless things I've ever seen, because it's like, it's an Apple TV thing, and like they made Severance, which is great, right? But like, and I still want to see what's the Tom Hanks robot movie?
I can't remember, but I see it in my head.
I want to see that. But Finch, I think. And so they have some stuff there that's like, oh man, that looks good. But then a lot of their other stuff, I'm like, this just looks really pump and dump. You created a thing for the sole purpose of just, hey, look, we've got a kids movie on here kind of thing. Which, you know, not to say like it doesn't look like it's never the technical skill anymore.
Yeah, no, there are so few poorly rendered animated movies anymore. Like, it is beautiful to look at. There's some subpar facial animation where I'm like, this is not an intense enough expression for the voice acting.
On the human?
Yeah.
Okay. I figured. It's I mean, animation with humans is always hard because especially once you go into 3D, then you start to dip into Uncanny Valley and stuff. It
had elements, certain bits and pieces of the Pixar magic, but it was just not there as a whole. There were some definitely very sweet elements to it also that I think were worthwhile, and I'm not mad I watched it. I had a fun time for the most part. But yeah, it was an experience, and I had the thoughts about it, and I was just like, what am I supposed to do with these? I'm not talking about this.
Yeah.
But it was just because for most of my life, I have just sort of enjoyed things as long as they're pretty sincere. I'm just like, I enjoy this. I don't care if it's technically trash. Everyone else is like watching this ironically. I'm having fun.
Which is interesting because that's what I've shifted into. Like I definitely I knew some kids in high school and college that were like really like film bro, like super critical of things, and their favorite movie was Fight Club. Like, so like it's this weird thing where I never was quite that much because I was a big Marvel guy, and I was like Pirates of the Caribbean, love those movies kind of thing. Like I think that's the thing is I never, anything that was intended to be fun, I took it as fun, and anything that was intended to be good, like a drama, an Oscar bait type movie, I got more like, oh, this is such a slog, like, and as I've gotten older, and I think that's just what happens when you get older, is you've had enough life experience to where a lot more things in those dramas you relate to than the fantastical dreams you have as a young adult.
Yeah, you see someone expressing an emotion that you could never put to words, and you're like, oh my God, they're so good at doing that, and it makes you feel, and it's like impressive. But yeah, being younger, it's just like, I don't know what's going on and why that lip quiver is done so well.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So to get back on point.
Yeah, we're taking both of these attitudes into this movie of like enjoying it, but also recognizing that it's lackluster, not quite what we wanted.
Well, I think I want to talk about the movie. If you haven't seen it, it's a pretty it's a pretty good twist. Like, it's a pretty decent twist. I wouldn't say you'd be completely spoiled for the movie if you found out what it was by listening to this.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, spoiler warning for kind of the big twist that is towards the end of this movie in the third act. That being said, we're going to get into spoilers, but this movie focuses on a brother-sister duo played by Daniel and Kiki, who lost their father, who is the kind of the horse wrangler for this Hollywood animal, like horse, training facility. Like it's a ranch where they train horses to be in films and commercials. And Keith David plays their father, and it's great. He's in it for just a little bit of time, but he's great. And he's killed very mysteriously when a bunch of objects start falling from the sky. And unlike Jordan Peele's previous two movies, the horror in this is more supernatural and more general, I would say. This one is, I think, definitely more of a piece he wrote in response to the reaction to his previous two movies, because not only are they very good horror movies, they're also horror movies that hit the mainstream pretty hard. And the first one hit the mainstream unexpectedly, and the expectations on the second one were increased because, oh my God, it's Jordan Peele. He's the writer and director of Get Out. Us is going to be the next big thing. And it was very good, but I think there was a lot of pressure by media and by people like us and by general viewers.
Get Out, I haven't seen Us because honestly, it scares me too much.
Oh, we have to watch Us. I didn't realize you haven't seen it.
No, I've only seen Get Out. Get Out was also like a little bit, that was the thing, is like I was watching, like I watched the trailer for Us when it came out, and I was like, oh, I don't know that I can do this. This is going to freak me out. And Get Out, horrifying content, done very well and a little bit more accessible, I feel like. Whereas Us kind of like Us raise the stakes of like concept.
I'm just watching your elbow go up and down.
Yeah, I'm trying not to disrupt the audio.
Quality. Yeah, well, and I would say Get Out is psychological thriller. Us is horror, like just straight up like horror movie kind of thing. And both share elements, obviously, but this new one is digging into the spectacle. That's its big focus. The other B plot to this movie, which is kind of where it gets weird, is Stephen Yeun's character is he has a amusement park that is Western themed next door to this ranch, and he's very goodness. I love him in Walking Dead. He is one of the best parts of that. I'm very excited at some point to show you that first season because he is in that and he's very good. But so he's there, and then we also have UFO sightings start to happen. So this whole movie is about UFO sightings and trying to capture that and trying to capture the spectacle of that so they can sell it, because business ain't too hot hiring horses for commercials. They're just going to make it in CG. And that leads our brother-sister duo to the local Fry's, which is an actual chain, to go get some like camera gear and stuff. And we meet our last main cast member, who is kind of like he's the Geek Squad guy who's there to do like the installs and stuff, but he's also like he watched History Channel's Aliens. And like they're all very, very good. Like they're all just very, very good. And that's what makes it so hard for me to get through that first part, is because it's just so slow when these actors, like, there are plenty of moments where it feels like things linger in a way that's a little too long for me. But what we discover is that it is not a UFO, and the fact that it's not a ship. It's not a spaceship. It's a biblical angel alien thing.
Yeah, I love, because it's got the classic shape. It's got a hole in the bottom where it's been beaming things up. It's been sucking.
It's got the saucer shape. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got the classic saucer shape. And but it unfolds later into like this ridiculous jellyfish. And I love when you're like, aliens are going to be so different from us, because it's so much more interesting than like, oh, the little gray men and they're basically like us. Just some things, the Star Trek slap some bumps on them thing is like, okay, like sure, possibly, but I love a weird jellyfish alien that can unfold and has this like square eye that it's rippling. Like, I love the design of
Well, I
this
very much
creature.
saw that as like a lens, like to a camera. Like it's very much that, because it was very it was using eyes was the way it was tracking people. Yeah, and so they're trying to capture footage of this thing to go famous. And there's the subplot with Stephen Yeun's character where he was a child actor on a popular sitcom that featured a monkey. And during the taping of this monkey's birthday episode, the monkey actor goes bananas, literally, and murders most of the cast, disfigures his co-star, and is like about to like fist bump him like the way they do because they're the co-stars. And so there's this whole like subplot that revolves around this monkey situation, and it's like there to add to the whole like, oh, the spectacle of like a real life tragedy type thing happening for entertainment.
Yeah, the spectacle, but in reading things other people wrote, this has kind of helped me gain perspective on this, but also the psychological reasoning behind why he thinks that he can build a bond with this alien creature.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's had this experience where he was spared from the horror of what happened, and the creature then was like still friendly to him at the end, which whether people also are like how much of what we see through his eyes is true. And
was
also,
it friendly to him in the end?
it was reaching out for the fist bump. Like, it wasn't
Oh, the
trying to,
monkey.
yes.
I thought you meant the
No,
alien.
no,
I was
no,
like,
no, no.
The alien
But yeah,
ate
but
him.
then sort of, yeah, no, his experience with his childhood trauma is, and also the shoe thing of how it's standing perfectly up, and then him focusing on that, and so he didn't make eye contact with the monkey. Like, things people have been bringing up.
Yeah.
It's very interesting, and also, but also the specificity of things you remember from trauma, of like, I was just staring at the shoe. I didn't know what else to do. Stephen Yeun is underutilized in this, and I want to know more. I feel like that character we should have definitely known more about it, because
I wonder if there was more to that character originally.
Yeah. Jordan, director's cut,
Yo,
please.
Jordan Peele, email us. Our email's thebutchandthebye@gmail.com.
Jordan Peele
come sit
just
in our studio that's in our house and record an episode
I
of
just
this.
love the thought of
randomly inviting celebrities to come talk
just
to
the
us.
thought that of him like looking through various, like listening through various clips of things and reading articles and being like, yes, this is the one I'm going to do.
Look, we're gay. That's all. That's the whole shtick.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but no, it's I can see that a little bit, and to that degree, like everybody in this movie has experience wrangling a certain type of thing. Like in this case, like you just said, it's what was his name? Juniper.
Yeah.
It was something with a J, but it wasn't
Yeah.
Juno.
Yeah, no, because his nickname was Jupe, Jupiter's Hollow. Not
Is it
Hollow.
Jupiter?
Jupe. I don't think that's his actual name.
Oh, Ricky Jupe
Ricky.
Park.
Yeah.
Glad he had
Ricky
a
Park.
last name. And then OJ and Emerald Haywood were the
Mhm.
brothers, and then Angel Torres.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like they all Kiki's character is very much like driven by trying to wrangle the beast that is the entertainment industry. OJ is the horses, that whole thing. There's this cinematographer they meet during a commercial shoot at the beginning of the movie that ends up coming back to try to capture this thing on film because it's basically like an EMP. It knocks out all electricity in a radius around it, kind of thing. And he's, trying to wrangle the perfect shot, the impossible shot kind of thing. And then you have Angel, who is trying to kind of like that he's that conspiracy theorist. He's trying to capture the conspiracy theory kind of thing. So it's a little bit of, you've got these group of people that are trying to wrangle different things and it culminates with this. And yeah, it's because they start to piece it together, and it's really fun to watch them piece it together. It's like watching a really good mystery, and them just start to unravel the rules of this thing and how they can use those rules to their benefit. Like, oh, it's looking at our eyes. Okay, we need to shield our eyes. Or we even need to reflect back at it. OJ at one point has reflectors sewed into the back of his hoodie, which was for the Scorpion King for 2001 because his dad worked on that set. Just a fun
reflection,
fact.
but reflection also pulls back into like the horse getting spooked on set by the reflector thing, but then also to the fucking balloons that come out of the box that spooked the monkey. Like it comes back to this like something about like seeing yourself and like having yourself reflected back. But yeah, there is so much you can just dig through about like various things about the entertainment industry, about the fact that faced with a UFO, your response is, we got to get a video of this. And even at the end, she's desperately cranking the wink well. The winker well.
Oh yeah, it was this like little well that you stick your face down and you spin it. It takes photos.
Yeah,
it was a giant Polaroid basically.
Yeah, and like even in the end, she's just desperately trying to get that picture because
who knows if they got footage from the whole thing. Yeah, it's hard to be like. It's just hard because you've got a lot of characters that are like they have different angles on what they want out of this. But it looks so good. And there's this great so at one point Ricky is hosting, he's like, I'm gonna show you something amazing, and he's got one of the horses he bought from OJ, and he's about to set it loose so that the spaceship will eat it, and he can show off to all his little audience members, and it decides, nah, I'm gonna, and it like rinse and repeat of his trauma. I'm gonna come kill you and all everyone that's here, kind of thing, and sucks them up into it, and it's like you can see inside, and they're getting squished by the insides. Almost looks like one of those bouncy houses, but it's squeezing in on you, kind of thing.
Yeah, and the fact that like when it's moving around, you can hear the screams echoing, and especially in like a huge space.
Oh, and it's hiding in a cloud.
Yeah, the cloud that never moves.
Which is great imagery. The cloud never moves. That's how people realize, like, oh, it's staying in that one spot.
It's hiding.
Yeah, and so, but there's this great scene. It's storming, and they have kind of been split. OJ's in the truck, and Emerald and Angel are in the house, and it starts to rain, and then it starts to rain blood because the creature is relieving itself. And it's just it's this great shot of just red, the house getting covered in red and it raining, and it looks like the house, the motel from Psycho, the big house on the hill, and it's one of the best shots I've ever seen, and like worth the price of admission to see that on the big screen, because it's awe-inducing. And then there's this great like chase sequence with I Wear My Sunglasses at Night by Corey Hart, which you saw me get all excited.
Yeah, no, the music started, the synth started, and I was like, Jen, you reckon the song? It's your song.
It's my song. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really good movie in a lot of ways, and it's just kind of slow at the beginning.
Yeah, I really think, like, I guess thinking about it from the angle of like, oh, he's had that experience with a creature before, and the show business side of it, and that kind of thing, and he grew up in a situation where the monkey was being exploited to do a thing, and something happened, and monkey is not in its natural habitat, and so it did a thing. And similar thing here, where you're trying to exploit this alien, the spaceship, to do a thing you want to do for entertainment value, and Earth isn't its natural habitat, and it's hungry, so it's just gonna do a thing. And so like I get from that angle, but then they needed to cut stuff earlier or something. Like it just, because immediately walking out of the movie, it's like, what the hell was the point of that? And for how little Steven Yeun does, like, that's the thing, is he just doesn't get as much stuff with the other characters.
Yeah.
So it just really does feel like this side.
Yeah, it wasn't
thing.
integrated as well as I think it could have. It's the thing also that we start the movie with that. We start with the movie from
so you
the
think
point
it's
of,
gonna be
yeah, and I needed more. It was one of the most horrifying things, like both him talking about it kind of casually later by talking about the SNL skit that they did of it, and just like I needed it to be more of it and to be tied in better.
Yeah. I just want Steve Young to get good work.
Yeah,
You know, he's really great in Invincible, but that's again voice acting. So you're in a
Mhm.
booth and you're doing that. He's phenomenal. Bob, do you have any closing thoughts about?
Oh,
Nope.
Emerald is a lesbian. We love her.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
took her as bi.
She never mentioned men though.
You don't have to mention men to.
Yeah,
be
but
bi.
it's also one of those things like.
To bi energy.
Yeah.
Mm.
Honestly, the thing that was the initial surprise for me was like, I love seeing what trailers don't include because that's part of the thing. Like you're showing various things, but there's always gonna be like some element of the plot. And for me, it was that she wasn't very involved in the business. Was that she was trying to do all her own things and was coming in to do like the talking, which OJ didn't like.
The trailer made it seem like she was there the whole time.
Yeah,
At
no.
first, kind of thing.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was more like OJ is shutting down in front of all these people. All these, this fancy older white woman who's like, oh, his name is OJ? And just like seeing the discomfort. So much good face acting from Daniel. It's.
Yeah. And there was, so we mentioned Ricky's co-star got disfigured by the monkey in the past. And so she's there at the like revealing of the spaceship thing. And they put her in the trailer like prominently as like this creepy, like she's there and ooh, what's wrong with her? Why is she hidden away under that veil? And like, does she have something to do with what's going on? And like, they really, I don't know. That was one of the first things I walked out of the theater. I was like, it's kind of weird because it just like the only reason she was kind of, oh, hello, we've got a guest that's not a guest. It was like, oh, you look a little freaky, so you're gonna be in the marketing and all the stuff.
Yeah.
That felt a little, you know, exploitative.
Yeah.
Weird. But
layers.
Yeah, it was very good. If you get a chance to go see it in theaters, I definitely recommend seeing because the stuff in the second half really is just built for the big screen. I look forward to Jordan Peele being allowed to do a small film that is not a burden.
Small, intense.
Yeah.
Oh, also, Angel getting all wrapped up in the tarp and the barbed wire, and the barbed wire saving his life because he goes up into it and it's like, nope, spits him out.
Mm-hmm.
That was.
The teamwork that they had in killing it was very good.
The planning and the communication and everything. And
when
also,
it eats the big cowboy inflatable. That was the final blow. Was it ate something too big, and it was Ricky's little cartoon cowboy thingy, which who knows? You may be familiar with that iconography if things happen the way they're supposed to.
Yep. But yeah, it's because it needs organic matter, and it's like it ate the horse that Emerald stole, and the banner keeps hanging out, and that's how they're able to see it for a bit, because the banner is trailing. And so she's like, oh, this balloon is going to mess it up. And it does, and it explodes, and bits of its jellyfish matter floats off to who knows where. But yeah, basically just the determination to document things. Everything is being watched, and you are being watched. Surveillance state, another way you can view this.
Oh, with Angel watching them, even though they told him specifically not to. Yeah, I did realize the parallel between OJ and Emerald, which is the fact that at the beginning of the movie, he has to go and do the job because she's not there, and he's struggling with it, and then she comes and shows up and saves the day, so to speak. And same thing happens here where like OJ's getting his big hero moment, and like it's not it's not like he's a completely like he didn't actually do anything to save the day. He did a lot of work. But then there's this moment where like it seems like one of them is gonna have to sacrifice themselves, and Kiki's like, and he's like, no, you're making it out of this. And it's just Emerald was the most interesting character to me in the movie, and so I was very glad that she got to be the Scream Queen final girl, even though like the only person that died in that whole run-in, oh no, we didn't even talk about the TMZ guy that came in with this weird mirror helmet.
That was so.
It's the original Mysterio costume.
The mirror helmet, though, when I first saw it, I was just like, that's just like the ball that spooked the horse.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very like, also in his his little electric bike, and it's slowing down him just going.
Yeah. Amazing.
And his desperation for OJ to like grab his camera even as he was dying, like.
Do it for the vine.
Yeah, a lot of interesting commentary in here, or you can just enjoy the wild spectacle of UFOs. That's sort of the thing. It's like
this is the same exact movie as Marcel the Shell with Shoes on. And no, I will not explain that further.
No elaboration.
You can visit us, because we're going to end the show now. You can visit us at www.thebutchandthebide.com. That's A&D, not ampersand, where you can find all the information about all the things we do. And next week, you can join us as we talk to our good friend. You know her from the first guested episode. You know her as the first recurring guest. You know her from the 100th episode.
Our friend, Krista.
Brooke. Brooke.
Singular Brooke.
Brooks. I'll never get it.
No.
Never, ever. Yeah, so we'll be hanging out with her, watching a movie, and talking about that. So it'll be a lot of fun as we discover what filming with 3 people is like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks. Bye.
Butch.